All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first Play Posit video, I believe, of the year, and it's going to be over essentially verbals and specifically participles and participle phrases. So that's what we're going to go over. This is kind of very difficult things for us to be doing. Probably the most difficult thing we're going to do all year. So pay attention. We're going to do this slowly. So, and really what makes it difficult is the fact that it's multiple things, multiple skills, all kind of rolled into one. So before we begin going on talking about different types of verbals, I want to go over what a verbal is. So looking at the notes here, a verbal is a phrase that is centered around a verb form, but is not used as a verb in a sentence. So it is a phrase that is used as a verb form, but not as a verb in a sentence. So to put that another way, essentially what I'm saying is a verbal sorry about that, just had to increase my font a little bit, but a verbal is something that looks like a verb but is not acting as a verb. So let me write out a sentence, and I want you to try to find the verbal in the sentence. So in the sentence, the swimming pool is full of alligators. What I'd like you to do is to find the verb, not the verb, but to find the verbal, the word that looks like a verb, but is actually acting as something else. So as we're looking at this sentence, I think obviously what we should always do in a sentence is to find the main verb of the sentence. So the main verb in this particular sentence is the linking verb is. Okay, so the swimming pool is full of alligators. The verbal in the sentence is swimming. So swimming is my verbal. Why is this the verbal in this sentence? It's the verbal because we have the form of the verb swim, which is a verb, obviously, that's an action, but it is not being used as a verb in this sentence. It's being used as an adjective. And how do I know that it's being used as an adjective? I know that it's being used as an adjective because it's modifying pool, which is the subject of the sentence, the noun. So what kind of pool is it? It's a swimming pool. So this kind of verbal is an example of a participle. A participle is a verbal or a verb form that acts as an adjective. So a participle, it acts as an adjective, and that's going to be helpful for us because we just did prepositional phrases that act as adjectives. So what we're going to have to call to mind here is what can an adjective do, what can it modify, what questions can it answer, and where is it located. So I'm probably going to ask you a question about that. All right, so what does an adjective do? It modifies nouns and pronouns. What questions does it ask? Which one and what kind? Where does it happen in the sentence? Where is it located? It's clingy because it occurs around what is being modified. All right, sound good? There's a reason that these endings are here. The reason is that to form a participle, we put it in the past participle. All right? So to form a participle, we put it in the past participle. So if we remember our verb forms, we have the base, we have the past, and we have the past participle. Right? So we have the base, we have the past, and we have the past participle. So base would be sing, past would be sang, and past participle would be have or had sung. So we would generally put the participle in the past participle to form it. So, or the present participle. I apologize. It has to be in some form of the participle. The present participle means ending in ing. Which would be is singing. Is or am singing. So if we look at our example from the beginning, this would be in the present participle, all right? The swimming pool, all right? I will give you an example of another one in the past participle. So if we take a look at this sentence, there are two verbals in the sentence actually, but one of them is a participle. I'd like you to find it. I think we need to focus on the known factor. So we should find the main verb, which is need. There's another verby looking thing to focus. However, I do not think that that is a participle because it's not in the past or present participle. What is in the past or present participle is known. So known is our participle because it's also a modifying factor. It's acting as an adjective. So that's how we would find a participle in a sentence. So this is where things get tricky. So you can have a participle by itself, or you can have a participle phrase. A participle phrase is a group of words that acts as one verbal or one participle, which means it's acting as one adjective. All right, if we look over here, we have a couple of rules that can happen at the beginning of the sentence. If so, it is separated by a comma. But I want to take a look at the example here. It says, bent by the wind, the tree finally fell over. So if I asked you to just find the participle in this sentence, what would the participle be? So yes, the participle would be bent. It's in the past participle, and it's not the main verb in the sentence, which is fell, but it's also, acting as an adjective. It's telling us what kind of tree it was. It was a bent tree. What makes it a participle phrase is that it has things that are modifying bent. So a participle phrase is made up of a participle and anything that modifies that participle. So a participle and anything that modifies that participle. And the things that can modify a participle are many. And I kind of want to talk about that tomorrow. But just know that a participle phrase, the whole thing is acting as one adjective, just like a prepositional phrase. It's acting as one adjective, and it's modifying one thing. In this particular instance, what kind of tree is it? It was a tree that was bent by the wind. Okay, so I think the best way to do anything is to practice, of course. So if you look at the left, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, okay? What I'd like you to do is find the participles in the sentence. All right, so if you wrote them down in your notebook, which you should have done, you can go check your answers with this. So the fallen tree, the soiled carpet, there was none in the third one, running water, swimming pool, and once again, there was none in the sixth one. That's a little, they're trying to trick you there, but don't worry about it because I'm not grading you on this, so it's just to see if you can check your answers. Let's do the same thing here. Um, we're going to find the participle phrases in each of the sentence. Once again, I'm not going to grade this right now. I just want you to do it in your notebook. All right, and then you can check your answers once again. One of these, two of these apparently don't have them, and I'm sorry for that. All right, finally, this is a very important thing to just find them, and how they are in the sentence. So sometimes participle phrases can begin a sentence. If so, they will be separated by commas. Sometimes they aren't separated by commas. So I would just write these down and we'll talk about them tomorrow.